Hey guys, Abby here, along with my husband Jonathan. We finally are getting around to telling our tornado/wedding story. Um, I've been debating whether or not I wanted to tell it, and it's like, well, people want to hear the story, so I figure I might as well tell it here on the YouTube. So, um, where do we start out? We start out Friday.
Yes.
I guess early in the day, we had to go to Paducah to get a couple of things that were still needed for like the wedding reception and stuff like that. So we go do that, and then we go to the reception hall and get it all pretty fine and stuff like that.
We had to go get our tuxes that day.
The guys had to get their tuxes that day because, guys are last minute. I'm
Like
messing.
we need to have them any earlier than that.
I'm messing. But so go and get stuff all decorated at the reception hall, and it was really pretty. And there's like debate all day. Oh, these storms are gonna get bad. Blah blah blah. And I've been joking. It's like, I'm getting married in December to not have to deal with bad weather. Like, I was fully expecting snow whenever we were originally planning the wedding, not tornadoes. And so we go back to the house. It's like 5 o'clock in the evening, and little did we know that would be our last time at the trailer. And we just both had this uneasy feeling. Like, I originally took the feeling as it just being pre-wedding jitters or just worried about the weather. But I now realize it's a feeling of I'm never going to be in this building ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And
I had that feeling. I'd grab both my flashlights and my radio, just in case.
yeah, first responder over here, he prepares for stuff. So so we're on the way to the church. It's like almost 5:30. Oh, I need to get you in frame. Sorry, it's almost 5:30, and we're on our way to the church, and our phones start screaming, and tornado sirens are going off. It's like, oh Lord, it's begun. So we get to the church. We get down to the basement. The whole wedding group that's there for the rehearsals down in the basement, and then
Not all of us.
most of them are in the basement. Some of them are being weather nerds, and that wasn't the storm. It was just it didn't prompt a tornado or anything like that. There's just a probable possibility that it'd be tornadic. No tornado. So we go through the wedding routine like once or twice because I just wanted to make sure it was twice. We went through it a couple times just to make sure that it would go well and all that stuff. And then we go to the fellowship hall for our rehearsal dinner, which is really nice. It was put together by his mother, his family.
She
so
went way overboard.
They
We
went
had
overboard,
so much food left
but
over.
it was really good. It was a really good dinner. And I went to YouTube because I'd heard that, bad weather was coming in. And I went to Ryan Hall. Some of y'all probably heard about him. He does live streams whenever there's severe weather. And this was probably about 7:30 in the evening. And the tornado was around Jonesboro, Arkansas, which I just looked it up today. It's about a 3-hour drive from here. So, definitely not a small trip. Definitely a bit of a distance. And I just had this feeling in my gut. And I look over to Jonathan and I'm like, do you think we need to stay here? Because this looks bad and like it's coming for us. And we both agreed. And like at the time, the only people that were still there was me and him and my parents and my sister. And I was initially concerned that I'd be kind of like cry wolf situation. Like, what if we do all this waiting here and nothing happens? But then it's like, I'd rather not take the risk. So it's like, guys, this is really bad. It's coming for us. If it stays strong, it could get bad. And the church has a basement, so yeah. So we're watching this thing, and we're watching this thing, and it doesn't let up. And when we think it's going away, it just cycles, and it's stronger. And probably about 9 o'clock, our phone starts screaming at us that they had issued a tornado warning. And at this time, it was still like close to Fulton. Like, I think it had recently passed Fulton whenever they issued it. And Fulton is maybe close to an hour, could be a little bit off, but a little kind of close to an hour from here. And depending on how fast you drive, right? If you drive out of hell, it might take you 30 minutes. But
gotta have your humor.
Gotta have your humor. But it was still, a decent bit away whenever the warning was issued, which I applaud the National Weather Service for their early warnings that they gave us. I mean, we're talking like even just like 10 or 15 years ago would have been maybe a 5-minute warning, if that. So kudos to them and the life saving that they did that night. So we get our phone starts screaming that emergency alert tone every time there's an Amber Alert, every time there's like some kind of emergency broadcast. That sound gives me PTSD, the worst PTSD. Because both of us, because of what happened that night. And we're darting to the church, and the sirens are going off, and we dart down to the basement, and my aunt and my uncle and my cousin, and they brought their dog. They came to the church to hunker down with us. And I was going back and forth from Ryan Hall to the local meteorologist live streaming to radar scope. Just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we tracked this thing like 100 times. And every single time, it was going to miss us. It was going to miss us here at the house. And it was going to miss the trailer. And everything was going to be fine. And, like, we were worried that it'd be at the church, but, the church was in the clear. So it starts... about 9:35, 9:40, they issued the tornado emergency, which was the second tornado emergency that's ever been in this area. The first one was minutes prior in Mayfield. You don't want a tornado emergency.
The one thing I remember from that most is my radio was going off, and they were dispatch was saying this is a life-threatening situation. Your life is in danger. Take shelter now.
So basically, it's the highest level of warning that you can get. You've got a watch, which is where conditions are favorable for any storm that developed to be tornadic. A tornado warning is this storm is either producing a tornado or it could produce a tornado.
PDS is next.
PDS.
Particularly dangerous situation. Basically, it means there's a tornado on the ground and into your area.
And then a tornado emergency is there is a large, violent, life-threatening tornado coming for you.
Populated area.
Coming for you, and if you don't seek shelter, you're probably going to die. And it's something that I've never experienced before. It's something that I pray that we never experience ever again. And we're just trying to track this on radar scope and everything and trying to keep up with the meteorologists. And then the power goes out. And then we lose service. The entire town lost service. And after, I gave it a couple minutes, like a minute or two, and then I went outside. and I could hear the tornado roar. And there's this one like tornado information thingy we saw a little bit ago from like the 1960s, and it's like, you can't hear a tornado. Yes, you can. And it's haunting. I will never forget that sound for as long as I live. It, like, there are a handful of sounds, weather related, that I'll never forget. The first was the tree limb snapping in Winter Storm '09, and the second was the roar from that tornado. And, well, Mom's like, there's lights in town, there's Christmas lights that are on, I guess, a battery or a backup or something. It was Christmas lights are around the court square. You know, they have power. It's like, Mom, they don't have power. They're on a different... The Christmas lights are on a system of their own. Whether it be generator or what, I don't know. So just spooky seeing... Looking towards town, it's just dark. And then those Christmas lights. And then first responders in their personal vehicles with their lights going start going by. And Mom's like, well, do you think there was a tornado? Do you think there was a tornado? So I'm like, Mom, there was a debris ball on the radar. There's no way there was not a tornado. It's like, well, I hope it didn't hit the hospital. And thankfully, it barely missed the hospital. Like, by so little. So, the church was fine, just no electricity. There were a couple tree limbs down. And, you know, we get out of the shelter. And my neighbor messages me. And she wanted me to call. So I did. And I ask about the trailer. And she starts crying, saying that it's gone. And your initial thought isn't, oh my gosh, really? Holy crap. No, it's not. I don't know why you're telling me this. I tracked this tornado. It was gonna miss us. I don't know why you're telling me my house is gone. Because I fully expected to come home and it still be there. I fully expected everything to be fine, just the power be out. So, we leave. It's my parents and my sister in one car, and they leave before us. And it's me and my husband in the other car. And we had to detour twice. Because we were going to go the east entrance, coming west. And that was blocked by emergency vehicles and down trees. So we were going to go the north entrance, coming in from the north way. That was blocked. So I finally managed to find a way that's not blocked. And my sister calls me. And she's like, hey, y'all, making it all right? It's like, you know, there's roads closed. I'm like, yeah, we're making it. And they get home a bit before we do. And my sister's hysterical on the phone, saying that the trailer's gone. And at first, I'm trying to do my best to console her. It's like, it'll be okay. Listen to my voice. Focus on your breathing. It'll be okay. But then finally, it's like, okay, if two people said that this happened, it probably happened. So I need to prepare for this. So finally, I told my sister, I'm like, I'm sorry. I have to go. I have to mentally prepare myself for this. And I just start recording. And I've already posted that video already. Of us coming home. And there were people turning around in our driveway because power lines were down. And I jump out of the car, I grab a flashlight, and I don't know why I was going to go around this way to go to my house, because you go this way. You don't go this way to get to the trailer, you go that way. I don't know why I was going to go around that way. And then it's like, oh wait, power lines, duh. So I was going to go the way I was supposed to go, finally. And the garage was partially off the foundation. The garage door was slightly blown in. One of the...
Tree in front of the door.
There was a big-ass bush in front of the front door. And I turned the corner. Where my house was supposed to be. Gone. What was there was debris from my neighbor's shed. Remnants of my neighbor's shed. And I'm just screaming, my house is gone. And I need to find my stuff. And Jonathan's like, hey, shine me a light, for the power lines. And I wasn't paying attention at first. And he's like, it's like, I need to find our stuff. And he's like, shine me a light. So, yeah, I shine him.
I had to call her by main name and middle name to get her attention.
Yeah. He's like, Abigail Faye, shine me a light. And, I just keep talking. It's like, I just want to find my stuff so I can rebuild. And he's walking around doing whatever. And I'm still recording at the time. And then I just reached my hand up into heaven. And I'm like, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. And it was pure shock, because I'm just repeating, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. I mean, it obviously didn't feel okay, but I just kept repeating, it'll be okay. Just to give myself some kind of mantra or something. But I'm a woman of faith, and I just want to say I never once doubted God. Not even in that first minute. And when I tell this story, I want it to be known what God does. That he's still alive and still answering prayer. And that he's still performing miracles. And he still takes care of his children. So I'm just gonna say that there.
For the record, neither of us lost faith. The whole time we were in the basement, I was just telling him, God's got us. Just over and over and over.
We were saying that and just kept thinking about the Jesus calming the storm. But so I'm just like, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. And finally we find the trailer. It'd been thrown. And
it was about 20 yards.
Something like that. And initially we thought it was flipped because some of the old flooring that had been exposed from the carpet, I guess, being ripped off in the wind. So we originally thought the trailer was flipped, but what we were seeing was the flooring. And all that was left was the flooring and the frame, the bottom frame. And I know I was in shock because it was thunderstorming all around me. Tons of thunder and lightning, pouring down rain. And I don't do nighttime thunderstorms. And I'm just here trying to find our stuff. Like, I didn't care that it was storming. Like, I didn't care that it was raining. Like, that was in the back of my mind at that moment. I was in survival mode. It's like, find our stuff and rebuild. That was the only thing in my mind. And Jonathan, he had to be like, Abby, you need to come in. It's pouring rain. You're going to get soaked.
Which we were already soaked.
And this next bit, I just realized I never took time to talk about and process. But we just go inside, into the house. We had to basically, like, maneuver our way in because of this big-ass bush in the way. And there's insulation everywhere, covering the door and everything. We get inside, and we're putting down pots and pans because the roof is leaking. And it's almost like in vain, you know. Because it was leaking in almost every room, and the ceiling, it was exposed in here. Because the trailer had hit the roof. And you could look up and you could see the sky in here. And it's just a feeling of hopelessness. I mean, getting married in less than 24 hours. Just sitting there on that couch, dodging water droplets from the ceiling. It's like, what do we do now? I knew that I still wanted to get married. There was no doubt about that. We were still getting married. We just didn't know. It's like we weren't going to get any sleep that night if we were going to be here. And he calls his mom. You know, I could not have married into a more amazing family. I know they say you're not supposed to see your partner that day when you're getting married, but that didn't apply to us. When you lose everything to a tornado, that doesn't apply to you. And his mom's like, let me just fix up the house a little bit, and y'all can come on over. So I gather a few things that I had left in my bedroom. I hadn't packed up everything yet because I'm a procrastinator. I didn't pack up my dog yet. I would have lost her if I did. That's one case where being a procrastinator is a good thing. If someone ever gets on you for being a procrastinator, tell them my story, please. And, so we're driving over there. And I'm just listening to Jesus music and clinging to God. Like, I wasn't really bawling my eyes out or anything. I mean, the only time I really cried was when I was hysterical. And there wasn't even a lot of crying, it was just screaming. We get there, we get the air mattress blown up, he sleeps on the couch, I sleep on the air mattress. Sleep is a loaded word at this point because every time we closed our eyes, we saw everything. We didn't get to sleep till 5 o'clock in the morning.
And the wedding was at
1 o'clock in the afternoon. We had to be at the church at like 10 or 11. But we stayed at his parents'. They had electricity. I was able to get a nice shower the morning before my wedding. Our wedding. And we're driving through town where the tornado hit. And just being in complete shock seeing it all. And we get to the church. He goes to the fellowship hall to get ready. And I'm at the church. And I just sit down on the front pew of the sanctuary. And this is the first time I really let myself just let it go. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And then one of my bridesmaids, his cousin, shows up. Which there had been a little family clashing because of something that happened at Thanksgiving, but like, it didn't matter that day. She just gives me the biggest hug, and cheers me up, and she does my hair for me. Which adds on to I couldn't have married into a better family. Probably about 30% of the people we expected to be there actually showed up. Which, I mean, in this scenario, it's completely understandable. Communications were down.
debris was everywhere.
Debris was everywhere. And, let's just say I looked more dolled up for my junior prom than I did for my wedding.
No.
But it's okay. And, we got married. And it was super emotional. And I'd always joked around with Jonathan, if you don't tear up when I'm walking down the aisle, I'm turning around and going back.
She didn't have to go back.
I didn't have to go back. He cried.
Yeah. It was beautiful ride.
He's not a crier, but he cried. And I'm not one for crowds, and so at first I'm just like worried about like the crowd and me not looking like the perfect bride or anything. But then I look up at him, and all that just melted away for a minute. Just, this is a moment I'd been waiting for years to get married. And it was finally happening, despite all that happened, and it was emotional. So emotional. And we're walking back down the aisle after, you know, you may kiss the bride, yada yada. It's like, we just did this. We got married right after a tornado. We did this. And, excuse me. And it's like, people were like, you know, that's amazing. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that. I couldn't imagine, you know. It's like, here's the thing. We had two options. Get married or sit around and feel sorry for ourselves. And I chose getting married. Because a house is a building. Home is who you're with. Who makes you feel safe and loved. And I'd rather get married with nothing than to have to lose my home. He's everything to me. And this has been an experience of growth, both in the relationship and in the faith.
Big time in the faith.
So we have our reception, yada yada.
And it was emotional. Her dad did a speech. Her sister gave a speech. My let's give a speech.
There were speeches, there was dancing.
I bawled.
We bawled. And then that next day, before we left for our honeymoon, yes, we went on our honeymoon. Why not? You know, it was kind of neat. We had everything reserved and paid for. Why not? But before we left out for our honeymoon, we cleaned up. We started cleaning up and picking up the pieces. And one of the first things we found was a Christmas decoration that said, "God bless our family." And we took that as a sign. And it's in my car somewhere. I think it's in my car. I don't know where it's at. A lot of things have been discombobulated. But
also, we did have to clean up alone.
Yeah, my bridesmaid and her husband and his cousin, the best man, they showed up and helped us clean up. I have to brag about the family I married into because they're amazing. Like, just incredibly blessed to have them. And we leave for our honeymoon, and we had a GoFundMe set up. And we decide on our honeymoon, hey, we're gonna put down a down payment for a trailer. Like, I'd done the math, and it's like paying off over 20 years, we can afford a trailer that's like $50,000 to $75,000. When God already had something in the works. While we were on our honeymoon, this gentleman named Scott Shipman, he works with Helping His Hands. They build houses for people who have lost their homes in natural disasters. And they contact my dad. And my dad tells them our story. And they're like, hey, we want to see about building a house for them. And we were just absolutely floored. And while we were on our honeymoon, we rode the Polar Express. And the lady that was serving us our hot cocoa, we told her our story. And I guess one of the passengers overheard us because we're getting off the train. This dude taps us on the shoulders. And he's like, hey, have dinner on me. And it was $100. And it's like, holy crap. Just the outpouring of love and support. It was just absolutely crazy. And people want to talk about all the bad in the world, but there's still so much good. There's still a lot of good people out there. So we come home, and we meet up with Helping His Hands, and they get blueprints, and it's like, we can do this for you. All you have to do is put in 100 hours of work, and that's nothing. And then FEMA helps us, and
I will never speak bad about them.
They did us really good, and just all these abundant blessings. Like, we gained so much more than we ever lost. And you can believe what you want, but I'm gonna say my beliefs right here because this is my channel and I have the freedom of speech. But God is so good. He got us through a tornado. We had faith in Him from the very beginning. In the very beginning, I clung on to God and I clung to my husband. Because that's all I had. And that's all I need. That's all that matters. Your perspective changes so much when you go through these things. I'll never take anything for granted again. I'll never take life for granted. Life is so precious. Life is so beautiful. Even when you can't see it. The birds still sang. The sun still shone. And it was the dead of winter when this happened, and now it's spring, and there's all these new little trees coming back to life. These new little trees just sprouting up from the ground. And just no matter what happens, because of my faith, I know that everything will be okay. Everything will always be okay. And everything will always work out for the best of those who love Him. And I can't quit bragging about how good God has been. And He's given me a wonderful, wonderful, loving husband who loves the Lord as much as I do. And I've been told that it would be revolutionary, and it is. Going through this is revolutionary. I mean, yeah, it's heartbreaking, but it's a clean slate too. And there's an odd calm in that, in this clean slate, because, you know, you thought your life was going to be set in stone. It was going to be this or that or that. But it's like, you're getting this clean slate. You're starting marriage with nothing. And that life doesn't have to be the way that you originally thought it was going to be. Because I put everything I owned into that trailer. And I worried about struggling to make it. And
now we don't have to.
Now we don't have to. Never in my life did I think I would ever be a first-time homeowner. And that was going to happen. We're getting a beautiful 3-bedroom home. It's going to be perfect for our family. And, like, that's huge for us. Because we're trying to have a family, and having kids is our dream, and, you know, we just want to give them the best life that they can. It's been a very emotional roller coaster these first months of marriage. But I couldn't imagine going through it with anybody else on this planet.
Neither did I.
Got a good one.
So do I.
Alright. Sorry for the waterworks, and I'm sorry this video is incredibly long. But...
Ooh, over half an hour.
Yeah. But to everyone who watched this far, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you have any questions about our story, our journey, or what it's like to get through this, just leave it down below, or, you know, message me or something, and we'll do our best to answer them. But thanks for watching, and we love you guys. Peace out.